Next track, bro. Ghetto Scriptures.
Mm,
We gonna name this track Ghetto Scriptures.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
So this is one of my favorite tracks. I really love the beat. You guys killed this one. This one
mm,
is uplifting, insightful, and conscious artists. People when people think conscious, they might think preachy, but you guys are
right,
like the opposite of that, really.
right, right.
Like I said, just insightful and just like bringing us into where painting a picture, telling a
Yeah,
story.
for sure.
All right, so this line, I mean, this is another one of your great lines, I think. Uh, Grandfather was sharing stories about the steel mill. I told him
Mm.
I rap, though we took different paths. He still listened. My other grandfather, a pastor, but he feel the vision.
When it's life, man, you live and you die. What you doing between is simply disguise. I empty my pride with the simplest guide of excitement. My foes brought a knife in a gunfight, I'm licensed to kill. But rather educate the misguided lives in the field that feel real. But is it still real? My grandfather, 85, living and shared his stories about the steel mill. I told him I rap, though we took different paths, he still listen. My other grandfather, a pastor, but he feel the vision.
Yeah. So
Oof.
yeah,
That
yeah. So
one,
like,
hold on, hold
yeah,
on, hold on, hold on.
yeah,
That one needs to be brought back 10 times.
yeah.
Like, it's interesting. So I'm originally from Pennsylvania. My family grew up in Bethlehem, and there's a steel mill there. So that
But
just like
yeah,
connected,
that's where my grandfather worked. Bethlehem still.
Oh, the Bethlehem steel mill. Get the
Yep,
hell out of here.
yep,
Wow, that's crazy.
yep.
My dad worked there for a little bit.
Wow, that's yeah. Wow.
So
Yeah,
wow, that's crazy. I wasn't sure if it was like an upstate one. So Bethlehem Steel
yeah,
Mill. So you have some
yeah.
your family, you have some ties in Pennsylvania.
Well, we have a Bethlehem. We have one in Buffalo.
Oh, it's Bethlehem in Buffalo.
Yeah,
Oh shit. Listen, look at that.
yeah,
Now it's a
yeah.
casino. What's the one
Oh,
up in Buffalo? Is that still
oh,
going or
yeah,
is that one a
yep, yep,
casino too?
yeah. We do have a casino downtown there where the Bethlehem still is that though. I don't think that's the original one though. But yeah,
Wow, that's interesting. So
that's
now it's a
exactly where we were.
casino and like a
Mm-hmm.
whole event space thing. Like I actually saw Snoop Dogg like perform like outside of
Really?
the steel mill there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fire! Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
yeah,
that was
he worked at Bethlehem still. Yeah.
wow. That's interesting. Very interesting.
Mhm.
But I mean, I talk about that line a little bit. Like there's so much to it. I mean, you could probably talk about that line for like a half hour. But
Yeah.
the first part that stuck out to me is like, oh, my other grandpa's a pastor, but he feel the vision. Like that's a
Yeah.
preacher. You're spitting.
Right.
You're doing a very similar thing in that way.
Yeah.
Talk about grandfather working for the steel mill, taking a different path. Um,
Def-
is that you trying to be financially free and
right.
taking the music route you're talking about?
So yeah. So I'll start with my grandfather first because a lot of times I'm basically the outcast because I don't do gospel like a lot of my family did like gospel music. Shout out to my uncle. He does like R&B, but he made that step too to not be boxed in. Not that I don't want to say boxed in either. He just made that decision to express what he feels. Shout out to my uncle D Mott. He's an R&B singer and he's also a pastor as well. So this is my uncle, my grandfather's son that I was talking about in the line. So
Okay.
my grandfather is a pastor. However, he doesn't look down on me because I'm rapping. Because when you hear rap, you think of like negative. He buys my merch. You know what I mean, he bought a few hats for me. This is one of my Y.N.X hats. He bought masks for me. He actually asked me to make him a mask for him because he has his own church. So he asked me to make him a mask and he wears it during church. You know what I mean? So like a lot of people within Christianity, I think Christians, like a lot of people, like they judge them and think that they're very judgmental people and look at it as like, okay, if you're not doing like gospel or what God wants you to do, then it's not proper. You know what I mean? So that's how I related to that. Like he's a pastor, but he sees the vision that I'm preaching just like he is. But I'm preaching to a different audience. You know what I mean? And then in regards to my grandfather, he's like 86. You know what I mean? So like I tell him about music, and that's not really. He probably hasn't seen anybody like get anywhere in music. He came up like with James Brown, so he doesn't. I mean, it's not really like okay. My grandson said he's a rapper. He's not. So he's not like talking to me like, yo, what are you doing rap? You need to go get a job. You need to, you know what I mean, this and that. So I would say I will relate that to financial freedom, being that he not trying to put me in a box, because everybody is not meant to do one thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's how I look at it. Like, I always made it a point to understand and show people that it's possible to do it. Look at everybody else. Music is a very successful business. So why do I have to go work a 9 to 5 because you think it's security? It's not really security. So that's why I broke those lines down, because as a Black man, the men in your life are very imperative and important, and their opinion matters. So those are two people that, started, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. So them supporting what I do means a lot, and that's why I put it inside of the verse.
Dope, man. Appreciate the insight. Love it. Love it.
For sure.
After that, followed by Nostalgia, which is the second single. So this is just a quick line, just because it was very relevant at the time, right? You said it was very quick. Push and P, passion. Right,
Yeah.
right. A little flip on a very popular phrase a year ago. Like it's
Exactly.
that's gone, right? But
Exactly.
that's like a cool, like interesting little flip you had there.
So like I did that for pretty much newer listeners. So like, say for an example, so I'll give you an example real quick, the way I knew that the line worked. Because Akil, he had a producer, he go by JB, so he was on the road heavy with Akil. And he became a big fan of mine. He was young, he was like younger than us. He probably like in his like mid-20s maybe. So like when he got the line, that's who I made it for. I made it for that particular age group, because they may not know who I am or what I'm talking about, but they heard Push and P. You know what I'm saying? So they know that joint. So like when they hear me say Push and P, that's okay. Now they're curious to hear more. Okay,
tune in a little closer.
Yeah, you have to sometimes you have to make people fans. So even if like, okay, well, this is not really my style of rapping, well, that little quote may have opened him up to me a little bit more, because you know what I mean, now I'm giving him something he can relate to. And he definitely, he formed to be one of, a great supporter of mine for sure.
Talk about choosing the singles. This was a second single. Was the project sort of recorded and sequenced in full, and then you guys were like, all right, these two are the ones? How did you come up with choosing and releasing the singles?
Definitely. So so the singles were pretty much, so the records are already done. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, the records are already done, and we kind of just went through them and kind of went through and found which ones were very impactful. Like Akil, like he has a way of making like righteous anthems, I call them. It'll be like the universe gonna move as soon as you ask it. You know what I mean? So like with us being on the road and doing shows, like he really opened my eyes to how important those type of hooks are. Something that people can sing along with. And so Nostalgia was the one that he wrote in regards to the hook. And then The Search was one that I wrote in regards to the hook, which I see The Search being a very it's gonna be that's gonna be a commercial record. I mean, me and him, we constantly speak on how impactful The Search is in regards to, like, I can see that doing in 2K, you know what I mean, all type of different places. But again, we're kind of just we're letting, like I said, the universe, like you say, universe will move as soon as you ask it. So as long as we keep speaking it out, it's gonna get to where it goes. So like those are joints that you can really rock to, or something that's gonna stick with you.
Look, these days I write what the beat tell me, until I reach wealthy for my offspring. Now many of us live what we all dream. All that I seen was a blur, then my words slurred. No person is unaccounted when the hurt surged his first verse. I heard worse when you niggas rap, and now they so pressed to work, that's an ill attachment. See, I've been grinding most of my life, long nights and days, using the power of my wave, blades, sharpen blades. It's time you rappers barricade, meaning to kill, killing it, let me paraphrase. Sometimes you walk around militant when you scared of grave. You more of a threat living, so never question fate. They took my breath away, I separate from all lost souls. It's been a lonely road, I found myself on the way, so I reached the goal. You hear that? I found myself on the way, so I reached the goal. They gotta pay me what I'm worth. Want me to do it for the love, but would it charge me if I asked them first? Always a gift inside the curse. Look in the mirror when there's nowhere else that I can search. Shit, they gotta pay me what I'm worth. Want me to do it for the love, but would it charge me if I asked them first? Always a gift inside the curse. Look in the mirror when there's nowhere else that I can search.
Since birth, I've been studying the whole sport.
All right, so generational wealth. That's the next one. This beat, man, is fire. It reminds me of like a Just Blaze type beat, like a big sound, right?
Sure.
So generational wealth, you know, we kind of sort of talked about that before, but that seems to be a wealth in your, a consistent theme in your music. You know, looking out for the people coming after you, and obviously that's what this whole song is about.
Right.
So Darkest Hour follows that. I mean, dark beat, hard. You sort of mentioned that before, and one of my favorite lines from you just goes to like shows the braggadocious side, that real MC side of you. Don't compare me to MCs unless they from Queens or are they from Marcy, right?
Yeah.
If you guys, anybody listening to this interview knows who's from Queens and who's from Marcy, but like if you don't know, that's a line right there, bro.
Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, when I spit that joint, I'm like, man, I have to say something impactful. You know what I mean? So they know that I'm not playing with this rap. You know what I mean? So don't compare me to no. What I meant by that is, don't compare me to nobody unless you compare me to the best. So like Jay-Z and Nas, those are the two MCs that are considered the two best that ever do it. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what I really meant by that. And man, I'm confident in my pen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It hits every time. There's no sleepers, nothing skippable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the unfair skit comes after that, and that is, I really don't have much to say about that. I just have to like take a deep breath. Really, like all the poetry throughout the album, it's placed and sequenced in a certain manner and put in, you know, interesting places. I would say not interesting, but in the correct place for how you guys intended it. But I love sort of the flow in the album. Can you talk about sequencing a little bit, especially since you guys are in different places? Not like you're like, yo, let's meet in the studio later today, sit down, listen to it in this sequence together. Like, talk about that process a little bit.
Definitely. So I admit that's not really my strong suit in regards to like sequencing records, but I do understand how important skits are. So I've been getting a little bit better with it. So Akil did most of the sequencing on Dusty Souls in regards to the order. I also have another album. I have two other albums. One is called Quarantine Chronicles, where it's sequenced. That's produced by Blaze Music 716. He's a producer out of Buffalo. And then I also have Glass Half Full with produced by Vega Real Estate. So he picked out all of the skits. You know what I mean? I mixed it. So he told me like, you should maybe put the skit here, put it there. So like all of that kind of just warmed me up to work on Sincere, to where I placed all of the skits, because I really, I didn't understand how important and how great of an addition skits were. But when you listen to all 90s albums, they all have good skits on them. So that's something I really started working on after Dusty Souls and my other previous project. But yeah, Kill did a good job of sequencing the order of the tracks and where the skits went and things like that. So yeah, that was all my boy Kill, for real.
I want to know one album from you that the skits stick out, because it's interesting. Just yesterday on my story, I posted about De La Soul.
Right.
Their music has been held by, Tommy Boy Records or whatever for a long time. It hasn't been available on streaming platforms. You can't even buy it anywhere really, besides, the original releases. For a while, you could find stuff on YouTube, but even that, some of my favorite albums I haven't listened to in years now. But one album by them is called Art Official Intelligence, AOI, and the skits on that album, it's really one of my favorites. So what is an album that has skits that sticks out to you?
Let me think about that real quick. It's the Redman album.
Another one of my favorites too.
Oh yeah, End of the Road. Hold on, let me
36
I was just
Chambers.
listening to it.
Muddy Waters, maybe. I think that one might be.
Yeah, Muddy Waters.
Yep.
Is it? And then Black Rob, My Life Story.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite albums of all time. My Life Story. And what else? I think I have one more. Yeah, like Muddy Waters has been my go-to lately. Like I listened to that joint and really painted a picture. Like my next album that I'm working on now, because like going forward, I don't want to make an album. I want to make an experience. So my next album is called Poison Story. So pretty much the storyline is based around, so poison and liquor are both have them on the same amount of letters. So when I associate liquor, I feel like liquor is poison as well. You know what I mean? So like that's why I named it Poison Story. So the whole concept of the album is going to be based around a trip to the liquor store, and then also reflecting life as like a poison store. The world is a big store, basically. You know what I'm saying? So like that's going to be the next album. That's the album that I just finished up. That's getting mixed. Yeah, so it's crazy, man. It's a dope album. I got a few beats I produced on there. I think I got like 3 records that I produced on there. But yeah, that's another one. That's another album that's kind of going like Dusty Souls, where I'm kind of like, okay, well, it's there, but it's not quite there yet. So I think I added like 4 tracks within the last 3 weeks. But yeah, that's the joint that I'm gonna be dropping next. That's pretty much gonna be, you know what I mean, a storyline based around the skit. The whole thing is gonna be like a skit, basically.
What was the title of this one again?
Poison Store.
Poison Store. Okay, got it.
Instead of liquor store, it's Poison Store.
Got it.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. So any idea about when you might be looking to release that? I know you said you're sort of still building it, maybe like summer, a little bit before that.
So it's definitely gonna be first quarter. It's actually getting mixed.
First quarter.
Right, yeah, first quarter. So
let's go.
I actually wanted to drop it last year, but I just I didn't really have all of the tracks that I wanted together, and then I'm glad I waited because I had the foundation, but now I think I'm in a little bit better shape to where I think it is ready.
Dope, man. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And everybody that's listening to this interview, you can buy and support Dusty Souls on Bandcamp. So I have the link below. Anywhere else you want to send people to support Dusty Souls, your art, merch, stuff like that, tell them where they can find you.
For sure. Yeah, Dusty Souls is available on all streaming platforms. If you follow Akil Ali as well, he has a link to some Dusty Souls merch. Just everywhere, man. Follow me on Instagram, Y.N.X.716. Pretty much everything, you can find me online through, everything that I'm doing. Make sure you follow my YouTube. Just type in Y.N.X. Also my website, www.ynx716.com.
Mm-hmm. Straightforward, man. Three letters, 3 numbers.
Yes, sir.
What does your name mean, by the way? Y.N.X. 716 is obviously Buffalo, right?
For sure. So
Y.N.X.
Yeah, so eventually I may be dropping the 716 out just because I want to keep people guessing. I want people to ask where he's from and then have to do research. But Y.N.X, I used to go by Y.N.X when I was early on in my career. So I was getting ready to get away from that name, and I changed the spelling of it. So it was YOUNGNXCE instead of NICE. So I just ended up just cutting the name to the acronym, and I just did Y.N.X, and I took the X from Malcolm X because, you know what I mean, just to basically like the X, you remove that because like that's pretty much like removing like your slave name. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what I took off. I got a track called Brain Dead from the Sincere album.
Yep.
Where I say I spit a message like a Malcolm, but they call me Y.N.X. You know what I mean? So that's where I adapted that from.
Man, really dope. And I want to get into the Sincere album too. I don't want to hold you too long. So I'm going to just fly through some other of my favorite sort of quotes from Dusty Souls. We talked about the search a little bit. These days I write with the beat. Tell me.
Yes,
I found that to be an interesting bar, though. What were you doing before? Was there something different happening before?
No, it was just like an overthinking. Like I used to approach songs like, okay, I'm going to approach it with a concept. So like, okay, say I want to take a bullet like Nas, I Gave You Power. So I got a song that's like similar to Nas, I Gave You Power, but it's about a bullet instead. You know what I mean? So like I approached that song with that concept of the bullet. You know what I mean? So with that being said, instead of me focusing so much on like having a concept before I write the song, I just write whatever the beat is making me feel. You know what I mean? Because like it's just like stop overthinking. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what I meant by that. Like these days I write whatever the beat is telling me to write.
I love it. I love it, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Deja Vu. That one's just been like that one was stuck in my head when I was at work yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the cuts. Shout out to DJ JF.
Definitely. That's I think that's Planet Asia's DJ.
Oh, okay.
Kill links with Planet Asia on the road, I believe, and him and the DJ chopped it up. So that's how we were able to get the cuts on that. Shout out to DJ If.
I like that one a lot. Open Letter, man. When I first heard that, like on my first run through, that one's a different track. Not many artists releasing songs like that, I would say.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Can you just talk about that one a little bit? Kind of who recorded first for that one, and you know how did it come about, man?
So yeah, I actually so this was funny. This was like a weird encounter. Like the beat is very like seldom and sad. You know what I'm saying? So like me and the kid, we was on the phone, and he was like, "Yeah, that joint is dope." And he was like, "I was like, yo, I'm gonna write the verse around my son." You know what I'm saying? And he was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna write it based around my daughter." So that's how we came up. That was one of the concept records, and it's a very personal record for sure. The kid told me a few stories of people tearing up listening to the record. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a special record to where I just kind of talked about like the relationship with my son, and I kind of jumped between both of us. Like I wrote it from a perspective of me talking to him, and I wrote it from a perspective of me at his age. You know what I'm saying? And then the kill came through with, you know, just talking about his relationship with his daughter, and just how much his daughter means to him, and we just pretty much took that angle of, you know, just being fathers as well as like artists.
Yeah, that's a really great track. I love that one. And hey, I'll raise my hand, yo. I teared up to that record too. Like,
Word.
Like that's when I get emotional. Really, I really when I'm listening to albums, I'm listening to them start to back. I'm really trying to get inside the artist's mind, try to figure out what they're intending to do throughout the project. So that one is a great record, very impactful. Salute.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Letter to my son, I had you on the trail when I was young, dumb, filled with come from signs of the devil you would run. To the streets I felt free, true indeed, what am I searching for? I find the path, fell off, it didn't hurt me more, the more pain. I saw a change and it hurt my eyes. You gotta practice all elements but study vibes. The energy off, it's often the attraction you don't wanna be. Stand up guys, they turn to obsolete. I watch you sleep, just praying you dream big. I know you a kid, but just how it is. You gotta cross your T's and dot your I's. Cause the matter is still about all black lives. Don't be afraid to take a step back, then cut all ties. It's part of life and the culture. You speaking on the things you may not get until you older. It's real life for me and nothing else. Despise the child when you hate yourself. This pain felt, damn. Fuck. Despise the child when you hate yourself. This pain felt. You hate the child, you hate yourself. Look in the mirror. Sure enough, from far I see it clearer.
So that is followed by Spoken Word, which is, as it says, you know, it's a spoken word track. How did that come about? You obviously spit on the track also, but just wanted to sort of take a different approach to the record.
Definitely. So we wanted to just bring everything together. So we had the spoken word throughout the tape. So we wanted to just kind of keep that element. You know what I mean? So I just started off with a poem. You know what I mean? Something that I just was thinking in my head, and that's produced by CG from Buffalo. And I just kind of went from there. Akil, he did a good job at following up with his poem, and just bringing that extra punch to it. You know what I mean? I kind of started off like slow, to where I just kind of, that was just like a verse that I, just kind of I put together real quick, just to go off of the poem, because I wanted the main focus to be the poem. And then Akil, he really did a good job of closing it out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that one's really dope. the one line in there called Buffalo Home and Attractive
Yeah.
Violence. Is that what you say on there?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, we kind of talked about Buffalo a little bit earlier, man. That line,
yeah.
that's an interesting one.
Definitely, like just being from here, I feel like when I say attractive violence, is like you're gonna encounter it being from here. You know what I mean? So it was like I called Buffalo home, and when I called it my home, I attracted violence in the process of just living here.
That song is followed by Soul Cry, produced by Jamar Johnson, who's also been on the channel. Really dope producer, and that's a hard beat, man. You guys don't close the album out without letting them know one more time. Hey, like we're gonna get to it.
Absolutely, yeah. Just want to have that balance. You know what I mean? We had a few, up tempo. 4 a.m. was like towards the beginning, and then we slowed it down, and then we brought the tempo back up, and then we slowed it down to close it out.
And it finishes with Surrender, very soulful ending.
Definitely.
What would you say you're surrendering to?
Surrendering to music and just surrendering, like it's because music is an expression. So I'm surrendering my problems to music. You know what I mean, and allowing people to know about me in the world that I live in, basically.
So that'll end our Dusty Souls breakdown for today, man. I really appreciate the insight. That was dope. And yeah, man, a lot of one-liners, man. True MC here. And like I said, man, he's got a lot of projects. So if you guys need a new artist to listen to, something new for your ears, for your mind, Y.N.X. Check him out. We got all the links below.
Sir.
So another project that's been in rotation heavily for me is Sincere.
Yes, sir.
Right? This is a themed project around Nas's character in the movie Belly, which I had to watch again this morning. I saw it a while ago, but I needed a refresher because I know that obviously this album relates to it a lot and pulls from it a lot. See the skits. You talk about the skits, building the skits, place, areas, and man, I love the flow of this album. I mean, you kind of said it on the intro, but I want to say, ask where did the idea come from? Simply just you sitting down, looking at Nas's character, saying, I relate to that, just something like that, and you wanted to build a project? Talk about it.
So, like, marketing is very key in this industry to where you have to do things that are outside of the box and kind of take a risk as well. So, being that some people, they resonate me with Nas, I utilize that to my advantage because it sounded like somebody else can either hurt you or help you. So I figured out the way to try to make it to where I can benefit from it. So in that aspect, I utilize. So from a listener, say you never heard me before, and your first introduction to me is Sincere. It's gonna bug you out if you feel like I sound like Nas. Like this whole character is this whole thing is based off him. So I wanted to have that ripple effect on people to where when they hear it, and if this is their first time hearing me, they're like, damn, yo, he do kind of sound like Nas a little bit, and this is based off him. That's crazy. But my original reason for doing it that way was Sincere. He was always the voice of reason. And like, that's how I felt I've always been in life. So that's why I related to his character. And, I felt like a lot of the stuff that he preaches, I preach as well. I mean, like him having the conversation with the young individual to where if you check out my Brain Dead video, I pretty much reenacted that. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much everything, just the different aspects of Nas that I took that the characteristics related to me. And I wanted to just bring that to life, show people, just creativity, you know what I mean? And, just kind of go above and beyond with it. And I kind of did like a continuation and also a recap. So at the end of the movie, Nas was talking about going back to Africa. Nas had a baby. He just had a daughter. I just had a daughter at the time. You know what I'm saying? The girl name in the T-Boz, she played his girl, T. That's my girl's nickname, ironically. You know what I mean? So when I did the joint Fetus, when the skit came on, like he was like, T, that's my girl, you know what I mean? It was talking about her and the baby, like that's really my my daughter's mother's name, her
It
nickname.
goes
So
deep. It's
you know
deep.
what I'm saying? So like, yeah, so like, I never really talked about it really. That's why the interviews are important too, because it's deeper than just the skit. A lot of that did, relate to me.
Mhm. Yeah, man. I mean, the project, I really love that breakdown there. Using that comparison to Nas to your advantage almost.
Right.
This was really a great way to present that. So,
For sure.
I mean, you talk about the marketing. You mean he ain't just a green MC, man. He's got
Right.
that different mind that you need nowadays too, right?
To be able to maneuver for sure.
Exactly. So I love that, man. Talk about building this project a little bit. When did the initial spark happen, and how long did sort of the process take?
Yeah. I started working on this during Dusty Souls actually. I had like little tracks scattered around, but then I was watching Belly one day and I'm like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do with this. I'm gonna take this angle with it, and that's pretty much how I came up with it. So, and I wanted to again back to marketing. Me and Akil Ali, we are both lyricists, and we pretty much gain fans for one another. So some people that was listening to Akil and heard me on it, maybe if they wanted to hear more music, I dropped shortly after Dusty Souls. That way, after Dusty Souls, if people wanted to hear more, they could go right to Sincere.
I believe it
You know
came
what I
out
mean?
in July.
Right. Yep. So May, June. So 2 months after Dusty Souls. Yep. And I did that purposely because I knew that the backlash from Dusty Souls was going to carry on to people listening to my other catalog.
Yeah, you gained a little bit more of a platform, got some more exposure. So
Sure.
hey, continue the
For
momentum.
Sure. For sure, exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Hey man, talk about that Brain Dead video a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
down to the white coat, man. How you guys are sitting on the bench,
Yeah.
like you really tried to bring us into the movie, into that world, into that scene.
Word. Yeah. So
Talk about where that idea came from.
for sure. So it came from it actually came from the scene in Belly where Nas was talking to the boy in the park bench. I think he was in like a project, but that park I was at, that was actually a park that I played football at for years, and I grew up down the street from there. So, and that was my son in the video. So me being able to bring him back to where like a lot of stuff happened. I didn't damn near got jumped at that park. I played football at that park. I became great at football at that park. I used to walk my dog at that park. So like I got a lot of memories at that park. Because again, like I said, I stayed directly down the street. So I pretty much, I had him with the football instead of, him and Nas, I just kind of switched it up. So like me just basically talking to my son, telling him, you got to choose a path. You know what I mean? Like football was my path that kept me out of trouble. So that's why I had him with the football and I had him, hitting, like punching, and I had me and him throwing the football. So basically just reenacting like some places in my childhood that different stuff happened there. So I learned how to play football there. You know what I mean? I had an encounter with some people trying to jump me at that park. That's why I had me and him squaring up at the park. You know what I mean? So just different stuff just to show him like a lot of stuff he's not gonna understand, but like I'm putting that in his subconscious. So when he goes back and looks at the video, he can be like, okay, well, that's what you was trying to tell me.
That's amazing, bro. I wasn't sure if that was your son. That was going to be one of my questions, but that's like another layer to it. Like that's crazy. It's not just your nephew. It would still be impactful. Somebody else from around the way, that would be impactful. But just like you said, he can go back years later and see that, bro. That's crazy. That's salute.
For sure.
The hook on that one is crazy too.
Yeah. That actually that features my cousin. I was telling you, my family are singers. That's my little cousin.
Yes.
That's my little cousin. He goes by Rogue, Rouge. I mean GUE. And I've been working with him since he's been younger. Like I said, I was rapping, he was singing, so me and him kind of came up together. I taught him like the process of writing, but like a lot of times like I said, I used to sing too. So what happens is I'll sing a hook first as a reference, and I'll send it to him and have him come and redo the hook. So pretty much I say I'm only focused on offspring coming after me. They accept you when you black, if you're a rapper or an athlete, but are you entertained? Basically just saying like, I'm not sure how acceptable we would be if it wasn't for music and sports. You know what I'm saying? Because we came from slavery and this and that, so pretty much that was my angle with that. Just expressing how I felt about it.
I love that, man. I love that. Shout out to all the features on the project. You mentioned Rogue, Edries, Tony Boy, and Q the Voice.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Are they mostly Buffalo artists? Talk about your relationship.
So funny story. Rogue is Q the Voice's son. You know what I'm saying?
Connections everywhere.
Yeah, Idris, he's an artist from Buffalo who he started as an MC. He went by Billy Dries Williams. So check him out. You can check out some of his old stuff. So Billy Dries Williams, he's like a friend of, like, he's like family to me basically. So earlier on, I'll tell you a funny story. I was in an internship in high school for a studio because I wanted to get into engineering. So like even dating back to high school, I always knew I wanted to stick with the music. So I went to this internship and I ended up at a studio. And as soon as I walk in the studio, it's Idris. He was signed to the label that was at that studio. And that's how me and him reconnected. I was like 13 or 14. And then from there, I graduated high school and I continued on music, and he started doing art. So he does like murals. So he has a ton of murals around the city of Buffalo, like different paintings and stuff. And actually, I'm partnered with him now with doing my music full time. So he the one who actually helped me with the opportunity to do music full time. So he's been a great deal of help. And he grew up with my father. My father always jokes and says he took his clippers. My father taught him how to cut hair, he said. You know what I mean? So that's how he relates to my family. And then Tony Boy, he does a lot of like the drum work engineering. So like he engineers a lot for a lot of the drum work artists. He's a big staple within the city of Buffalo in regards to orchestrating shows. So I did the Bow Flute Festival like 2 years ago. So he got me on that joint. He has a label with Camouflage Monk. They go by Art Dealer. And so me and Tony Boy is a huge support. And the most recent festival me and Akil did, he actually orchestrated that one as well. So shout out to Tony Boy.
Shout out, man. All those verses and singing sprinkled in is really dope.
Absolutely.
So talk about, I forget what song it is, but there's a recreation of sort of the beginning. However do you want it? I forget the name of the song.
Yeah.
But so, that's sort of like a recreation, right?
So in the beginning of Belly, that's the song that was on. Yes. So that's why I utilized that, because I called it Belly 2 because I felt like it gave me the inspiration to write that joint. So actually that song was like, that's something that my aunt had to do like a minute ago. She was doing that for somebody else, and she just I had it just sitting. And then when I realized that I was working on the album, I hit her like, yo, auntie, can I use this for the beginning? Because I'm working on this song called Belly 2. And it just went together.
Cold, fresh air. Feel the melody in the air. Oh, what's going down? However do you want me? However do you need me? However do you want me? However do you need me?
Fire, bro. And it's funny, like I said, I had to rewatch the movie this morning, and right when it starts, I'm like, all right, check one. Well, one thing that I noticed, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And there was multiple things throughout the album. Why'd you want to run the red light, man?
Yeah.
Man, I mean, people will compare you to Nas. You even have the bar. It would be no Y.N.X without NAS or however it goes. But your style just reminds me of like in general, a 90s, early 2000s, just like New York hip hop artists. Obviously, like we said, Nas, but like Jadakiss even sort of like the locks, like the type of beat selection, how you're approaching them. But the content is a little different, just a little bit different.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to talk about a few more of the songs on Sincere. So Change is one that really stuck out to me. That's one, like I said, I had to bring back a few times.
Right.
I try to change, but they won't let me. They won't let me.
Yeah.
Who is they? Who are you talking about? Because it could be interpreted in many different ways, right?
Yeah. So like the people around me, like, you know what I mean, when you try to take a righteous path, it's just stuff in the environment always tests you. That's why I try to stay to myself and keep my circle small to where I'm not guilty by association, basically. You know what I mean? So like when you're around demons, sometimes you have to turn into a demon. You know what I mean? So like that's where kind of how I painted it. Like right now, like I'm in a good space to where I'm not really around people besides family, but a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about, maybe like even though I'm dropping it in 2023, a lot of it may be like experiences from like over 10 years ago that I never got to touch base on. That's just been sitting being held in. You know what I mean? And that was actually one of the, like I always put like filler tracks, meaning tracks that's not like that. I don't like that much, but I'll add it in there just so it can. I don't want that one to be too perfect. You know what I'm saying? But like that and Red Light were the two filler tracks that I put in there to keep the concept, but I didn't feel like they were that spectacular. You know what I mean? But that was pretty much the concept that I made with that, just trying to change as a person, but the people around me sometimes makes it difficult.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's Change Interlude. I was just checking on that. It is called Change Interlude.
Yes,
so, you know, a little insight right there. I love it. I love it. That's followed by Fetus, man. And that one, oh, the beat alone, like I could just listen to that beat over and over, that looped up and how the way that's chopped and put together. Do you know who the producer of that is offhand?
That's Sylvester Stallone.
Okay. Nice.
He's from overseas. And that was actually, I redid Nas' Fetus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, really dope. And I love, like you said, the other connections there, like with your girl. You've recently had a child as well. Like, man, it's deep.
Yeah,
it's deep. These are the type of artists that I love to listen to. So everybody else, man, make sure you tap in. And we spoke about Brain Dead already, sort of the video, the idea behind that. And I love it, man. I love like I said, I love the theme projects. Shout out to O.Finesse. He's actually going to be dropping a project soon called Highly Cool, based loosely off of the movie Coolie High. So that's one I actually just had to go and watch recently. So I'm excited for that one as well. But you guys definitely check out Sincere. Dope project. Not too long. It's about 25 minutes or so. Perfect length for my drive to work. And man, a whole lot of good stuff. You can have it on repeat, man. You can listen multiple times. So salute Y.N.X.
Appreciate you.
So what else should we be looking out for in 2023? You just mentioned Poison Store. Yes, what else should we be looking out for? Or you want people to just, hey, look out for this and don't worry about nothing else right now?
Yeah, just more visuals, more live shows. If you already know who I am, you know, if you have like a promoter, make sure you're reaching out to your promoters. You know what I mean? And if you want me to come to your city, man, and give me an idea as to where y'all would, you know, want to see me. I went to Orlando and opened for for Conway, and I opened for Conway in Miami, and I noticed that a few people in the Orlando crowd already knew who I was. So that was very dope. And you know, just more shows, more visuals, and you know, just more business ventures. So, you know, just definitely stay tapped in with me and just continuing, you know, chasing the dream for sure.
Dope, man. Can you talk about that experience a little bit, opening for Conway? I mean, we talked about Griselda a little bit and then being like a global brand now and recognition. Like, that's kind of crazy. Somebody from your city who attained that and you're on the mic right before him.
Absolutely. And it's just so great how everything is turning out. I've opened for Griselda before. I opened for Conway and Benny in Ohio back in, I think it was actually 2022, either 2021 or 2022. But I opened up from them then, and you know I was able to build rapport with people around them. So Benny's road manager actually touched base with me to, you know, he let me know that he had those available shows. So he said, you know, basically I think he had like 2 shows in Texas. You know, those were Benny shows, and he also had the Conway shows. And I elected to do the Conway joints just because my friend, one of my close friends, stays in Orlando, and I already had planned on, you know, going out there anyway. So like, why not? So I went out. Yeah, so I flew out to Orlando on the 1st. The show was on the 4th, so I flew out to Orlando. I'm gonna go get there early, you know, chill, And then I did the show on the 4th. That was a Friday. I think a kill came out on the 3rd or the 4th. He met me in Orlando. And then we did the show in Orlando. It was dope. And I got some footage of it on my YouTube channel. But the crowd was live. You know, people showed a lot of love. And then we drove the next day to Miami, stayed in Miami, and Miami was dope too. It was just great energy, man. Definitely, you know, some that showed me, you know what I mean? So I had the merch, you know what I mean? So artists coming up, make sure you have merch if you're going to open, you know, just try to make the best of it, you know what I mean? And it was dope, though. You know, I have no complaints, man. It was definitely a great experience for sure.
Nice, man. That's awesome. So one of my favorite parts of interviewing artists is asking them about, you know, the best food, where they're from, where they like to go, where are the food spots in case I'm ever around. Actually, when I moved to Colorado, I drove from Massachusetts out here. So we actually had to go through Buffalo. We took that route, you know what I'm saying? A little colder up there. But so when I'm driving through Buffalo again, where do I got to stop to get food? And so that's one question. And also, I mean, do I dare ask, where's the best wing?
That's a good question. You gotta check out Lenovo's. They had some of the best pizza in Buffalo and wings. I get their wings on the pit, fire. Yeah, man. We got Duff's wings. They're pretty good. We got a Duff's wings at the
Classic
airport.
spot.
Yeah. So we got that during the airport. Yeah, for the most part, our pizza and wings is really, really heavy. We got some good. I like salad. Like I'm simple, you know what I mean? So I do like a Savaki salad, you know what I mean? Because I don't like nothing too heavy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the salads is the truth out here. The pizza and wings for sure, man, definitely.
Nice, man. Hey, I've been on the salad game a lot recently. You know, I work in the restaurant, so it's easy to just eat pizza every day. But we talk about balance in many aspects, right? So the food's definitely got to be one of them.
Yeah, and like you are what you eat is like a saying, and I understand it now because it controls your mood. Like that's why I don't like eating. Like I get to the point where, I mean, any smoker, I mean, sometimes you get that urge when you get the munchies to eat like snacks. But I just understand, like, man, your body is controlled by what you eat. So it's very important that what you intake, that you try to be mindful of it. You know what I mean? That's why, like, I don't eat 3 meals a day. I don't really eat breakfast. So, like, you know, I try my best to try to keep something that's balanced, that's going to keep my mind in the right place, especially with music, because it's a mental thing that you got to keep control of as you go through the journey.
Bars, more bars, people. Just always every angle.
Yes, sir.
Y.N.X, hey, that does it, man. You answered all my questions. You gave us a great lyric breakdown, help us break down a couple of these projects that you released last year. Anything else you want to leave the people with?
Man, I appreciate you, man. I respect what you're doing, and just keep at it, man. Hopefully, you know, you can me and the kid, we want to set up a Dusty Souls tour, but like I said, a lot of it is just me and him. So, you know, if you have any resources to where, you know, you link us with some promoters, you know, we definitely want to get out there, man, make something happen for sure.
Absolutely, man. Yo, I'd love to see you guys out here in Denver, and we're going to try to make that happen this year. All right.
Yes, sir, man. Much love to you.
All right. Y.N.X, hey, hopefully Buffalo's still doing good in the game right now. I really appreciate that. I mean, this is during a Buffalo playoff game, people, that he's doing this. I didn't realize that until, you know, right before. So I really appreciate that even more.
Yeah, it's 34-31. We got 4 minutes left in the fourth. So,
all right, bro, I'm gonna let you go. Hey, don't stress out too much. And hey, we're looking forward to new music. Take care, man.
Much love, bro. Thank you again.
The broken righteous just stare in the dark. I play the part next to the dog. Reflection mirrors off. The fear get taught. It's a lost cause. You can't be a worker and play the boss. I was preserved in belly one. I took the words and grew my son as nourishment. I woke up this morning and bought myself a gun for nourishment. Don't give it the service. My verbiage is worded different. Observe the tension with a hawk eye. Every verse a pension. This lyric